There we go. Okay. Here's one going. Oh, it's over there.
Okay. I thought it was me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. All right. Hi, Christine.
Hello.
How you doing this week?
I'm doing okay.
Good. So, first of all, I wanted to say thank you for being so accommodating last week and just doing a text message session. How did that feel for you? Did you enjoy kind of connecting through via text and through text message?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I
Good.
thought it was good. Especially because I could go back to look at the homework and stuff in case you needed to be reminded. So
Great.
good.
Yeah, no, I mean that's something as a counselor that I'm just kind of trying out with some of my clients, especially teens, where I know that cell phones are kind of your kind of primary way of communicating. So I thought that that was kind of a neat way for us to connect, and I really appreciated all of your honesty and letting me know how your week went last week. So I thought that was really neat. So how did your week go this past week? Tell me about being on the basketball team.
Well, it was good. We won our first game, so that was exciting. And then one of the girls on the team, I've kind of become friends. I just met her through basketball. I know she's been at my school with her for 4 years, but now that we're on the same line, we kind of talked, so it was nice.
What's your name?
Beth.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was good to make a new friend, but with that, my friend Desiree kind of, she kind of got upset. I think because we've been good friends for so long, and so she was upset when I hung out with Beth one day after school. So kind of been not talking to me as much this week. I can tell she's kind of mad still. So.
Okay. How does that make you feel that Desiree is kind of sounds like a little bit jealous of this new friend Beth?
It's hard because I know she's my best friend and I don't want her to be upset, but at the same time I think that it's fair that I get to have other friends. I'm just worried that that it won't go back to where it used to be for us. Just because she hasn't hardly talked to me, and when I do talk to her, she kind of one or two word answers, and she seems mad, even though she keeps saying she's not. I can tell, just because we haven't been hanging out as much, and when I see her, like I said, she won't talk to me. So I'm just wondering why it feels like I can only have one friend, right? I can't. So I hope she knows that I'm not replacing her or that she's still my best friend, but she just won't listen. So it was good to win our game and get a new friend, but at the same time, I feel like it's wrecking everything that I have. So I don't know what to do or what to say to her to make her realize that she's still my best friend.
Okay. So what kind of makes you think that it's only possible to have just one friend? Or what makes you think that that's maybe Desiree's thought?
Well, maybe because I've got a couple friends. My other friend Tara that I told you about, but she's just kind of always been friends with us. Just because maybe we haven't had other friends join our group. So I don't know. So it just seems like now she's mad. So it makes me feel like she's not wanting. I'm not letting me have another one, or I don't know what it is. Because this girl Beth is nice, and I'd like us to all hang out, but when I try to bring her in, yeah, it's like she's jealous or something. I guess.
And your thought of jealousy is sounds like it's kind of stemming from Desiree not talking to you as much as she used to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just different now. It's different. But I like Beth. She lives nice and close, so we've kind of been able to walk to school. And Desiree and I have never walked to school because we don't live close. But I can just tell when I get to school, and then she kind of just walks off. Whereas before we'd go to our locker together, and then and that sort of thing. And she spent lunch with me most of the time, but it just seemed a little bit off. So I don't know. I'm kind of scared to just ask her, is this why you're mad? So I can tell that that's what it is.
Why are you scared to ask her if that might be, like, this is what you think might be going on?
Well, I've just kind of learned over the years, you just don't ask those things, and you just kind of keep it to yourself because you don't want to cause anything bad to happen in the relationship. Because I think usually when I get upset about something or when I address something, I always get angry, and I don't ever want to do that. I don't want to do that with her. So I just kind of am leaving it, and hopefully she'll bring it up. I don't want to be the one to.
So it sounds like you're a bit fearful that if you were to ask Desiree if she's upset with you because you have a new friend, that might actually make it worse.
I think it will.
Is there a possibility that it might make it better?
I haven't thought of it that way, but I just don't think it will, because it'll make her upset, and then her getting upset, it might make me angry, and then I'll yell at her, and then it'll be, just, even though I learned kind of to walk away when I get angry, I think because she's the closest person I have in my life, I just want to keep her that way. I don't want to do anything to make her upset or, want to leave or, hang out with Tara more, which is fine, but I just I'll miss hanging out with her the way that we do.
Of course, she's a good friend of yours, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there could be a very different outcome than what you think might happen?
Well, I guess so. Like, maybe if I could just ask her.
Because it's possible that, it sounds like you're assuming that the reason that Desiree's not talking to you is because of you and maybe having a different friend, when in fact there could be something very different going on with Desiree, and maybe a simple question of, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? It could be anything, right?
It's true. I know her grandma's been sick, so and they just moved her into a nursing home, so maybe it could be that, but I guess, well, now that I think about it, because she didn't want to hang out with Beth and I after school last week, so that's a good point. Maybe she isn't mad, but it just seems like how she's acting, she is, so I think, I don't want to do anything to upset it even more.
But you don't want to ruffle any feathers, it sounds like, and you don't want, sounds like you don't want your anger to maybe come out in this, and then, like I said before, kind of make the situation worse.
Yeah.
But that's kind of going on the worse end of the spectrum, right? There could be many different things going on with Desiree, and it sounds like you guys have been friends for quite some time and quite close. And you have mentioned before that you feel like your friends Desiree and Tara are the ones who kind of understand you the most and know who you are as a person kind of best out of everybody. So I would suspect that this might look very different than what you think might happen. And I would encourage you to just ask and see what happens.
That could work, I guess, because she's really calm. Like, I've never seen her be really mean or angry or definitely not like me when she gets upset. She's just she's quiet and she cries, but she doesn't I've never seen her be mean to someone, so I guess you can see why would she be mean to me if we've been friends for so long. So.
And another thing that you mentioned that's really important, I know, to yourself, is the importance of relationships, right? And having connections with people, and sometimes, Christine, when you ask people, is everything okay, what's going on, and you're showing that genuine care for someone else, that at the end of the day only enhances that relationship, right? So you might see that the outcome of this could be way more positive, and it could mean that you and Desiree maybe even get closer if you open up that door of asking her what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can know because she's never mean to people. Why would she be mean to her good friends? So.
Yeah. You guys, like I said, it sounds like you've been friends for a while, so I encourage you to ask, and I encourage you to kind of try and drift away from what you think might happen, which it sounds like you're kind of assuming the worst. I encourage you to think of, well, maybe it isn't her grandma's sick, or maybe something else, and well, maybe I can be there for her, and things will get better. Okay. Is that possible?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Okay, great. So it sounds like basketball went well. You made a new friend. You guys won your game, so that's great. Tell me a little bit about how things have been going with Ruby, your new tutor.
Well, I got my mark back for my first math test since I've had her, and I got 58%, which doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but it's the first one that I've passed.
Great.
I didn't pass any last year, and so this is the first one that I can remember in a long time that I actually did well. So I was happy. Like I said, most people would kind of be like, "Oh, that's a bad mark," but for me, it was passed, so it was good.
Great work.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. Even my math teacher, who we don't always get along, she said, "Congratulations." So it felt good that, because I'm giving up a lot of time during my lunches and that sort of thing to do this, but I have to for basketball. So I didn't realize how good it would feel for me, because I just thought I was doing this for everybody else. And but Ruby pointed out to me that it's for me too. So it felt good. It's still hard. I didn't like it, but it felt good to actually do it. And Ruby's kind of nice to talk to too. We have a lot in common with me, so it's kind of nice to know how she likes sports and that sort of thing. She likes math, which I don't get, but it felt good. And so then there was not any arguing with my teacher, because I've been doing my homework with Ruby and that sort of thing. So it's kind of nice, but I felt, of course, if it, that's good, then, the thing with Desiree, and so the math felt good, the basketball felt good. And my foster mom was really happy too. So
good. So it sounds like the success in math has kind of enhanced the happiness in other areas. And your experience, it sounds like you're experiencing less struggles and with your math teacher and with your foster parents, and you're getting to do something you want out of it, which is play basketball. And another thing that I'm hearing, as I mentioned before, and I know that you've spoken about it in previous sessions, is again that importance of connecting and feeling that someone's listening to you. Do you get that from Ruby?
I do. She's kind of like a big sister. I never had a big sister before, so it's kind of nice. Just because she's a couple grades ahead of me and that sort of thing. And she says hi to me in the hallways, and I was never someone at school that had a lot of people to say hi to, so it's kind of nice with the basketball team too, and new friends and that sort of thing. So it's been nice.
That's great. Yeah,
it's something I've had a lot of. So.
No, it sounds like you're starting to form that relationship with Ruby, and it sounds like that positive relationship is also kind of overspilling into forming relationships and connections with people on your basketball team. And it sounds like you're starting to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if it's have faith in others that you can form connections. Because I know that we've spoken a little bit about that struggle with connecting with people and that trust, and because it sounds like it's been hard to trust people when you have people kind of coming in and out of your lives. But to me, it sounds like you're starting to become just a little bit more open to forming those connections and those relationships.
So that's why I'm worried. I know we already talked, but I'm worried about Desiree, because I feel like if I'm talking to more people and stuff, I don't know how that's going to. I don't know how it's going to affect our relationship, or how you can have one close friend, and I'm just worried that it's going to wreck the one good thing that I've had for as many years as I have. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah. It sounds like there's a bit of fear of, now that I'm forming these friendships and relationships, whether it be with Beth or with Ruby, maybe with some other people on your basketball team, how do you continue to remain loyal to those friends who've been there for you for a long time? Is that kind of how you're feeling?
Yeah, and it's probably because I just know that usually when someone new comes along, like in the foster houses that I was at, someone new would come, and then another, and then I would go. So there was only, how do you, like, how can you manage with more than, two friends was hard. So I just, how do you do it with more? I don't know how. Ruby's not really a friend, so that's, well, I guess she kind of is, but she's more of a tutor, and I don't know if I would have talked to her if I didn't have trouble in math and that sort of thing. But she seems like she's my friend when I see her,
So it kind of sounds like, because of your experiences in different foster homes and people kind of coming in and out, you have this perception that applies to friendships.
I guess so.
That you can't keep them as you go along. It sounds like you think that when you gain some, you have to lose some.
Well, maybe, and that's why I'm worried, because Desiree's upset, right? Or, I haven't asked her, but I thought she was, because I was getting new friends. So maybe she thought, well, like I said, I haven't asked her, so maybe I should.
I think that's, maybe it's something if you're comfortable, maybe doing next week, and we can follow up on it our next session to see how that went. But I am a bit more curious about this thought of not being able to continue friendships when you have new ones.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it all the way when I was saying that, but just makes sense. And when you see the other kids at school, there's not usually big groups of people. There's like little groups, so it just makes sense of how things work and that sort of thing. But then there's some kids that have a lot of friends, so I don't know. But I've never had a lot of friends, so even now I think it's the most people that I've talked to in the school ever. And it feels nice, I guess.
And I see that as a positive, right? I think that your, like I said before, openness to develop friendships is actually quite a positive step for you. And Christine, like I said before, about that importance of relationships and that closeness with friendships, you can have more than one, right? It's I think because importance of relationship and connecting and trust is so important to you, that you're going to have a pretty good sense of that kind of quality versus quantity. Does that make sense?
I guess so.
Right? Some kids in high school, like you said, they have those big crowds and they have lots of friendships, but I've always been curious of how the quality of those friendships, right, when you have so many. But because quality is so important to you, I think that will remain as you make new friends and keep the friends that continue that effort to be close to you. Does that make sense?
It does. And I, on the sports teams and stuff, we've always been, like when I play baseball, we always had the team. But outside of it, like we all got together really well on the team. But outside of that, they wouldn't come over and that sort of thing. So whereas with meeting Beth, we are on the team and then also like doing stuff outside of it. So she's really funny. So I like hanging out with her. And her parents are nice too. I've been to their house a couple times.
That's great. So you share some things in common.
But is it okay to do, like I don't know, is it okay to do that kind of thing, or should Desiree always be there? I guess that's what I'm worried about, that if she's not with me in those times, like, is it okay to do stuff without her? Because we've always done everything together. So I guess I'm just, I don't want her to get upset without her being there. So.
And that makes you a really good friend, right? That you're so caring, and it almost sounds like you want to protect her, and that you have this fear of, if you start making new friends or start doing those other friends, you have this fear of hurting her feelings.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to do, because she's been so nice and such a good friend through so many things.
Well, what makes you think that she would be hurt by it? Do you think that there's a possibility that she would even be happy for you, knowing that you struggled with making friends and trusting other people, that she might actually celebrate this with you? Is that possible?
Yeah, she might. Like I said, she's really nice. And she's nice to everybody she meets, so I don't think she'd get upset, I guess. If I think about it, she probably wouldn't get upset at me for having a friend.
When you say it out loud, it sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? That if someone cared about you, they would want you to be happy. They would want you to do things or have things happen to you that are good, right? And it sounds like Desiree is a great friend, and that I suspect that she would be happy, and that she would celebrate, like I said, with you, that you're starting to form new friendships. It doesn't mean that the old ones don't matter, right?
And I've never been scared to talk to her before. Usually I share everything. I don't know why I'm worried to talk to her about this.
Sounds like there, again, from before, that this kind of fear of maybe making it worse because of kind of your historical patterns of dealing with anger. Right? So can you tell me, Christine, was there any time during this week that that you felt really angry and you dealt with it in a bit more of an appropriate way, kind of like we were speaking in our previous sessions about, that I just need space and walking away and coming back, and that kind of, did you have any situations this week where you practiced that?
Because my foster mom and dad have more kids, there was just a time where they have an older son but then a younger son, and he just kind of came into my room and was in my stuff and that sort of thing, and I know he's little and it's his house, so instead of getting mad at him, I just asked him to get out, and then instead of yelling, because I remember that, because at night I was looking at the assignments that you had given me just to remember, because it helps me remember how to get written down. And so then I went and talked to him after, because I was really mad, just because they've given me my own room and that sort of thing. It was in my own private stuff, so. So I didn't actually say I need space, but in my head I was saying it, and I just said, get out. So maybe it seemed, and he did. He's only, he's only little, so I didn't know. Maybe that helped it, because it was a little bit easier for me not to yell at him because he's little, but I wanted to, but I didn't, so. So it was good. And then after, when I wasn't upset anymore, I wrote in my diary about it, and then I was able to go tell him. And he listened, so.
Great.
But so, he does that to his older brother too, because of his stuff all the time, so.
Quite a normal thing for young kids to do that.
Said he was looking for candy, but I don't have any, because I need trick or treat.
So great work, right? Like this is a really great way of handling the situation. I think you could have handled it much differently, and I think that in the past you might have handled it much differently. So how did it make you feel throughout this whole process of dealing with it in a bit more of an appropriate way?
Well, it's kind of like when I got the mark on the math test. You feel good. It's like I passed a test or something.
Yeah.
So I guess I just always thought those kinds of things were for other people. It's, I can't yell at them because it'll hurt their feelings. But I kind of saw how it makes me feel good too. Because it's something that I don't like doing. So when I was actually able to not do it, not yell at him, I felt good too.
Good.
And then he didn't cry because he didn't get yelled at. So it was good.
I'm glad. I'm really glad to hear that. That's really great, Christine. So, I wanted to give you this kind of list of feelings, and I'm wondering if we can maybe identify maybe one or two that you feel, and maybe identify ways of how to deal with those emotions. So, this list is for you to keep, so you can kind of, maybe when you're experiencing something, you can identify, oh, I'm feeling this, and then I can do this. And what I was thinking is as you go, you can maybe come up with a little book for yourself where, so for example, if I'm feeling, let's say, the situation that you just gave me with the younger child in the home, maybe at that point you felt annoyed.
Yeah.
Right? And then you could say, well, I would deal with it in this way, and you just use the example that you just did. Right?
I like things that are written down.
So, and maybe that's something you can even do in your journal. That's completely up to you. So, I know that typically the feelings that you have identified that you feel are kind of the angry. So let's pick another one. Is there another one kind of in the angry list that you could kind of give an example of you feeling that emotion?
Let's see. I guess like the furious and mad ones.
Okay.
Just because, and it hasn't been so much this week, but just I get furious and I get mad when people don't understand, like with schoolwork and that sort of thing. I get angry because they don't understand all the things that I have to, I have so many things going on, and then to get a certain mark on a math test, which I don't understand, I would get really upset, frustrated, angry, and it would come out in yelling because I didn't know what else to do. Because I just feel like you don't know me, you don't know what I've been through, so yeah, it would just, that's when I would yell and that sort of thing.
And now that we've kind of gone through some different strategies and had a couple of sessions where we've kind of talked through those things, what might be some other ways of coping with those emotions now that you might do instead?
I like, because I still get mad and that sort of stuff, but I guess it's just knowing not to yell at other people. So I've really worked on that. Just like when I told my foster brother to get out of the bedroom instead of yelling at him. And then I guess I did writing, that was my yelling, I guess.
That's great.
So that sort of thing.
Great. And I mean, on here there's different categories. So there's happy, sad, angry, other feelings. And I encourage you to kind of, if you're in a situation where you're feeling, let's pick another one, anxious, that you maybe try some different things on how to cope with it. Right? So maybe if you're feeling anxious, maybe you could do a breathing exercise, or maybe meditation, maybe journaling, right? So why I say we're kind of going to develop a book is because sometimes when we're feeling hurt, we may not know how to deal with it, right? And so having it written down and you kind of figuring that out through writing, because I know that that's something that works for you, you can maybe go back to your book and say, okay, I just feel hurt. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do that. And kind of do that trial and error based on what works for you, because everybody's different. So this is for you to keep. Do you feel like you have an understanding of kind of the activity and how to practice this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Is this something that you're interested in doing, or is there another way that you'd like to?
You know, I like this because I like having, like I said, I like having things written down, and if I can read it and see it, then that really helps me to remember those sorts of things.
And sometimes too, Christine, when we're feeling, sometimes we can feel multiple emotions at once. So you might be feeling anxious, you might be feeling mad, you might be feeling tired, you might be feeling all these things at once. And sometimes the first step to kind of process through those emotions is identifying what you're feeling. And sometimes when we're experiencing a lot of different things, it can be hard to identify. So that's one thing I like about this chart is you can kind of verbalize a little bit better what you're feeling, and once you're able to identify it, then working through it might be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So is this also something you might want to work on throughout the week? Maybe, like I said, within your journal, or you can have a separate book, or this is totally up to you. This is your project, and you can create it however you want. This is just kind of the beginning point.
Okay.
And then how you create it is kind of up to you, and maybe next week we can see how it's going, and if you want any other ideas, then I can help you with that.
Okay. Yeah, this is something, and I have a bulletin board in my bedroom that I put things on sometimes, so it might be good to have a couple up there. Yeah, I can do this.
Great. So far we've got having a conversation with Desiree as something for you to work on. And then the feelings book. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to do that I meant to do at the beginning of the session, but we just got chatting and then it slipped my mind, was I wanted you to fill out this ORS again.
Okay.
And again, this chart is kind of based on a 0 to 10 of how you've been feeling in these 4 different areas throughout the week, and you can just put a circle or a line of where you're feeling in those different areas throughout the week. Okay. So I wanted to also show you the chart that I started from the first time that we did this session. So for your ORS, you were a bit below cutoff, so you're at 17.8, and for the SRS, a little bit below cutoff, and you're at 32.2. So what I'm going to do after our session is measure this one again, and hopefully, as our sessions go on, we'll see these scores kind of going up a bit. And if they don't, then maybe we need to figure out what's going on and maybe look at different areas to work on to maybe hopefully get these scores going up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so were there any other situations, Christine, throughout the week where you're able to use the I just need some space or walking away? Any other examples of where you felt that you maybe dealt with something in a bit more of a positive way?
Well, I guess at school, just, I know my math teacher said good job and stuff, but I just found that because I felt better about my math and that sort of thing, sometimes I feel like I wanted to argue with her because she's not always that nice to me or that sort of thing, so I just didn't feel as angry at her. So it was just easier to kind of listen to her in the class and that sort of thing. Whereas before I'd just kind of tune out. So I don't know if that's the same thing, but I just didn't feel as upset at her. Like I used to go in there feeling upset anyways at her because I just felt like going in she had those feelings that she didn't like me and that sort of stuff already. So I didn't feel that way this week. So I guess that was good.
Sounds like because your math teacher gave you a compliment, that maybe that enhanced that relationship a little bit, and maybe by your math teacher giving you a bit of praise, you felt that maybe that relationship improved.
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe I don't know. I think because my foster mom had been talking with the school and setting up with the times with fooding and that sort of thing, just kind of helped. Just kind of helped all around. So
That's great.
So I didn't really have the same things that used to make me upset going on. And there was a lot of good things this week, so maybe that's why I didn't feel as angry all week. So.
No, that was really great to hear, and I really do see a theme here with the reasons why things are going so well. And it sounds like there's some really nice, positive relationships happening. And as we kind of pointed out before, that's really important for you. So when we're looking at maybe ways to kind of bring or lower the amount of situations where you get angry, that what we really need to focus on is the connection that you may have with that person.
Yeah.
Right? Because it sounds like you had a much better week with your math teacher because she said, hey, good job, as opposed to you were late, you failed, you did this, you did that, and all the negative things. Now you're starting to see the positive, and that's enhancing your relationship.
Yeah. And this is the first time I really, I've always thought that these foster parents were nice, but they do a lot for me, and they want, I've never had foster parents that actually have talked this much with the school. Before it was just, Christine did this again or did that again, but they actually feels like they're a little bit more on my side. So maybe that's that's the first time that I've had foster parents that have done that, so that's kind of helping too. So it makes me even more wanting to do well for them, and then it feels good when I do that kind of stuff for myself too. So.
And again, that relationship connection, right? You're making the connection between their effort of connecting with your school and making sure things are going well in your life too, that they really care. Right? And it sounds like you're kind of making a bit of a really nice shift from people don't understand, people are judging me, lots of the comments that we heard in our previous sessions to, people care about me, and you're starting to see the ways that people are making efforts into the relationship, which you didn't really feel before, but I wonder if it was maybe just not really seeing it before.
Yeah, I think I just get so mad, so it's good to not get mad right in that situation, because then you can see how they react differently too, I think it just, and it's funny because I don't get like that with Desiree, so now when I'm not getting like that with other people too, it's nice to see that maybe they do take time to get to know you and that sort of thing. So.
Great. And so you seem to often kind of be going back to Desiree. So how are you feeling about maybe having this conversation with her?
Well, it makes sense to me now. I guess there's still that kind of, I'm afraid that she'll get upset, but then I have to remember she's never done that before. So I can't see why she would get upset over something like you said that's good. Because she's never wanted, so she probably thinks it's good, I guess. It's not a bad thing to have another friend, so I can't see her being mad about it.
Absolutely. And should we maybe discuss the alternative that it could be that she is upset about you having another friend and how you might handle that? Did you maybe want to role play something, or just kind of have a conversation about how you might handle that?
Yes, I don't know what. Like, would I not hang out with Beth because of it? I don't ever want to lose Desiree as a friend because she knows so much about me and I know her secrets and that sort of thing. So what would I do if she?
Well, let's practice.
Okay.
So what we'll do here is I am going to be Desiree, and I'm going to react in a way that you think she might, and in terms of being mad because you have another friend. So let's say you just asked me, hey Desiree, I've noticed that you've been a bit distant this past week, is everything okay? And I'm going to respond with saying, I'm mad at you because you have another friend. How would you react to that?
I don't know. I think I would say I won't hang out with her anymore.
Okay.
Because I don't want to lose you as a friend.
Okay.
I don't know, is that what I would, I don't know if that's, I don't think that's fair. Maybe I can ask her to hang out with me and Beth because she's really nice.
So I think that you saying that's not really fair is a really good response because that's honest, and you're not getting angry, you're not getting frustrated, you're reflecting with how that makes you feel. So as Desiree, I would say, well, I just feel like you're not giving me any attention. Can you say that?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
And maybe we can hang out after school. Would that be better?
It could be. What do you think, if Desiree were to be mad about this, what do you think she'd want out of it?
Well, maybe for things to go back how they were. But then that would maybe upset Beth, I think, too. I think I would just tell her that we can hang out together.
And I think I think it's important that you share how you would feel if she were to respond that way, right? Because if she is a friend, and it sounds like she's a good one, and she sounds like she does really care about you, that she would respect your feelings, right? And I think that your idea of maybe Beth and Desiree and the three of you hanging out together, I think that's a wonderful idea. And I think that with that, with this kind of mini role play here, did you feel angry?
No. I don't know if I could get angry at her. I don't know. So maybe that makes it easier that it's her. But I didn't get mad.
No, you didn't. And I think that if her response was something different, that her grandma was sick or something else, I think that conversation would just kind of be a natural friendship kind of conversation where I know that you would be there for her and you guys would continue on with your friendship. But I sensed a little bit at the beginning that you were feeling a bit uncomfortable and anxious about having this conversation with Desiree. Do you feel a bit more comfortable and ready now to have that conversation with her?
I think so, because I didn't know what I'd say. I think now I know what I would say. Before I would, now that I know that I've had the conversation, and it's okay, it may help having a real conversation. So.
And sometimes when we think about things, sometimes we think it's going to be a lot more worse than it will really be. So I am curious to see how that goes next week. So that's something that we can touch base on next week as well.
Okay.
And you might find that if you maybe start your kind of feelings book tonight, that may help too with the conversation. With kind of maybe saying it again, depending on where it goes, but maybe you can use some of those words of how you feel, and maybe even helping her identify how she's feeling. That may help that conversation too. Was there anything else, Christine, that you wanted to talk about during this session, or anything else that you want to work on this week?
I don't think so. I think I'm mostly just looking forward to figuring it out with Desiree. And we have another game this week, so we'll bring that over now.
Great. And I am curious to see that maybe this feelings book and having these words and some of the strategies we spoke about with how to deal with situations that make you angry. I'm curious to see how that goes too. So is that something as well that the kind of I just need space and walking away and coming back, is that something that you want to continue working on this week too?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I think that one's helped the most, so.
Okay. And I know that you mentioned before that you really like visuals. Did you want me to write down the 3 things
Sure.
that you're working on? Okay, so if I just put conversation with Desiree, you'll understand what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. And then creating your feelings book.
Sure.
You know what that means? And then continuing to use strategies. Would you know what that would mean if I wrote that down?
So that's the walking away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Continue to work on strategies. And you might find that, like the example you gave me, you kind of dealt with that in your kind of own way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it still worked, and you still felt good about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to put continue to work on strategies and leave it open like that, because you might find that different things work for you. Is there anything else you want me to add to the list?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to hearing how everything goes next week, and good luck with your basketball. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.